The Wednesday, September 7th meeting of the City Council Finance Committee. Please be advised that FTV is conducting audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. And I see no one in the audience who would be recording, so I'm not going to bother asking. Please silence all electronic devices. Exceptions apply. And present with us this evening, we have Councillors Boschman and Cruz and myself, President Zarella. I am chairing in Councillor Di Natale's stead. We have no one here for public comment, so I'm just going to jump right into it. We have 4 items on the agenda this evening. First up is 16224, in order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Massachusetts Emergency Management State Homeland Security Program grant in the approximate amount of $5,000 for the purpose of purchasing equipment for the Fire Department's Community Emergency Response Team. Go right ahead.
Thank you, councilors. I'm here to answer any questions on the grant. About the grant, it's the 2024 CCP grant, stands for the Citizen Corp grant. We put in for this grant every year. One of the things to get that grant is having an active CERT team, which we do. So we put in for the grant this year. We were able to receive that grant. We're going to get a few submersible sump pumps. Over the last few years, we've used them quite a bit in the water situations that we've had. Some of them have broken beyond repair, so we're going to replace a few of those. Same with our shelter cots. The last time we bought any shelter cots were for before the ice storm, and now we've put shelters. We've probably activated the shelters twice, the large shelters, and then also the shelters that we used during all the cold weather this year. A lot of those cots are starting to tear through, so we're going to replace some of those cots, and also the compact life rafts. We're going to get that to augment for, again, water situations. If you have any questions on those, I'd love to answer them.
Councillor Boschman.
You know, I was going to ask questions.
Of course I did.
Hey, listen, the raft, I was talking to the chief.
Yep.
Where did he said we used it. Where did we use the raft?
Well, we haven't used this size raft. We had to actually use our boats, especially when we went to Leominster. And it was getting people out of cars and homes. And before that, whenever we had anybody stuck in roads on top of their cars with damaged water, we'd have to wait to bring something in, like activating our dive team and boat. We didn't have any of these rafts that we can use. So now we have that. So last year when we went to Leominster, we had to activate our dive team, get a boat, try to maneuver the boat through the streets to get people safely out of their homes and out of cars. These can be used by the CERT team. They're easily deployable. They're octagon shapes, so when they get deployed, they won't tip. So if someone's nervous getting off of them, they can't tip because of their borders. We're able to deploy them easily, fast, and use our CERT team to help get people out of cars, out of their homes in any flooding situation. So it's something we don't have, and we wanted to augment our emergency response with it.
And then my final question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got a question? No?
I might ask you, but go
Okay.
ahead.
My final question. You said something about shelters. Are you buying cots for the shelters, you said?
Yeah, we have an emergency shelter that's part of emergency management, is setting up any citywide shelters, like during the ice storm.
Yeah.
And then last 2 winters ago, when we lost power, we activated the senior center for shelter for anyone that was going to be out for a long period of time. So we activated that shelter again, set up those cots. I'm in charge of setting that up. And the cots, due to wear and tear and just age of sitting, are starting to rip through. They're military cots. So
how many cots do we have right
now?
Yeah.
We have a couple of locations. We have a shelter trailer with the cots. We're supposed to carry, because it's a district-wide, so I can bring that to other districts too. So
okay.
District-wide. In that one, we have 250 cots. We're down to about 175. So we're trying to replace and get that up to have enough to activate it.
Okay. 250, huh? Wow. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I yield the floor. Oh, you want?
Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned submersible sub pumps. What are those used for?
So homes, when we have water problems in the city, not only do we put the sump pumps on the trucks, but our emergency response team will come in to augment to get those trucks back in service, and our community volunteers will come and pump out cellars. So during the last time when those When we had the flooding situation over by, Holman Street and those, we ended up putting those sump pumps in people's basements, try to pump them out as quick as possible. We have 4 large pumps and several smaller pumps. Some of them, due to overuse, motors have burnt out, so we're replacing some of those sump pumps also.
Well, sure.
That was what I figured at last weather events. I had quite a few constituents with flooded basements, so I'm glad to hear we're getting.
Yeah, we try to pump them out and get them back in service and get to the next house. We'll just set up lists and go. If we had more of them, we could get to more locations, but we just try to keep staying on top of them.
Thank you. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this sounds great. I'm glad that we have this.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Given that I have a motion and second and I am the third person, I'm going to say this passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you very much, Phil.
Well, you're a wise guy.
Me?
16324, order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $25,000 received from Fitchburg State University and originating from Mass Development for the creation of a downtown management organization. Director Murphy?
Thank you. I am here to answer any questions you have. I'm just going to give you a little bit of backstory, though. This funding has been set aside by the university and the core team that was working on different elements of developing the in-town Fitchburg district, and before that it was the TDI district. So this was earmarked for the creation of a downtown management organization under FSU. FSU is no longer wants to be the fiscal agent for these funds, and they're transferring it to the city of Fitchburg. So we would just be taking up that. We were involved anyway, but now we would just be holding the purse strings to help the business community of downtown develop a downtown management organization.
And so how far into this have we already gotten, and what would we expect to see out of such an organization going forward?
So to some degree, the cart was a little bit put before the horse in that the group developed the in-town branding and a lot of in-town marketing materials related to that, in the hopes that the downtown management organization would pick up that mantle and call themselves In-Town Fitchburg. Obviously, they could end up creating another name, but we would discourage them from doing that because, there's all this marketing out there. There's assets that they can use as tools. Some consultant work was already done to explore the idea of creating a downtown management organization and funding that through district improvement financing. That we have that report. I don't think we'll go in that, or I don't think they will go in that direction at this time, because that's a big ask to carve off some of the city's tax-based funds and set them aside for the DMO. So we do have that report. There's also other reports. We have something from Mass Development that really is a guide about district management, about downtown management organizations and the different types. We've been working, Mary Jo and I, our economic development director, and some business leaders who are very interested in this. We've been working behind the scenes to develop an agenda and itinerary for starting this process with the business owners, and we actually set a date for September 25th at 8 a.m. to meet with business owners to kick off this project. So this is very timely that we're here in front of you today, and we would intend to use these funds for legal services to develop the 501c3, to help them develop their governance documents, potentially some consultant services, and then if there's funds left over, it could be startup funds for marketing the district, beautifying, cleaning up, whatever that business group decides to do. Ultimately, it's not going to be the city dictating to the downtown management organization what they do. We need them to take ownership of the organization, lead it, manage it, but we will have a downtown coordinator to support them for this next year.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Brochman.
Is this going to be like Fitchburg Pride? Remember many years ago?
Yes, yeah, it's exactly what it is.
It is going to be the same thing.
Something like that. You know, Fitchburg Pride, that was developed in a different era, and I believe most of their revenue came from managing our parking garage, the parking garage that's
Yeah, great.
close to Mill Street, lower part of Main Street. So we're not proposing that kind of a arrangement for them.
Is on this development, because I'm totally against some stuff, and you already know that. This 20, how much of this is the city going to be responsible for if this thing starts taking off? Are they going to have to donate any money?
Is the city going to have to? The city will not have to donate any money. This once it's established, they will be seeking funding, developing their own potential funding mechanisms. They may want to explore a business improvement district in the future. They might want to come back to us for a DIF someday, but we would discourage them from doing that in the near future. They could decide that they're going to be self-funded and every business has to pay in to be a member of the downtown management organization. There's a lot of different iterations that management organizations can take. But in none of those scenarios are we proposing to set aside a bucket of money for them. Grant funding could be the exception if grants are sought and received.
Is Mary Jo Bohart going to be the downtown coordinator?
No,
No.
she
They're
is an
gonna
economic
find that out?
development
They're gonna
director.
hire out?
We are about to put out an RFP for a contract for downtown coordinator services.
So who's going to pay for that if we don't, at this
That's
$25,000?
funding that's already that we already have through both CDBG downtown coordinator and some funding from Creative Cities.
Oh, because I thought the CBG fund was going for beautification, the $30,000 to help with flowers on Main Street and that.
Nope.
No?
CDBG cannot fund flowers.
Cannot fund flowers.
It's not an eligible activity.
All right. I'll give the floor for now.
All right. Anyone else?
No, Mr. President, I think my questions have been answered. I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Actually, I'm sorry, I do have one question, if that's all right.
Go right ahead. It's your motion.
Thank you. Is it safe to say that this sort of organization is like a pseudo chamber of commerce amongst the businesses downtown?
It could be, yes. I think they, ideally, there's some self-promoting. They're supporting each other. There's opportunities to create events that are around coming to downtown that will have a positive effect on businesses. Like we could do a taco crawl now that we have all these taco places around, or margarita crawl. We could do dining week, those sorts of things where that would actually give businesses a bump. We could do old-fashioned bargain days again, or when I say we, I really mean them. But the city will be there to provide technical assistance and support to the degree that our office can do that with our existing staff.
In addition to the downtown coordinator.
And the downtown coordinator, that's correct.
Motion to approve.
Councillor Brochman?
One question. With the city in its construction mode, you're hearing water mains within a year, you're hearing gas mains within another year, and then you're hearing the water source separation within another year. Do you honestly believe that this is the proper time to start something like this in the downtown area, whereas the roads are going to be all taken apart? People are not going to be wanting to drive up and down the streets of Main Street because of the construction. And it's really going to hurt, to be honest with you, businesses on their way downtown.
I would say that's more reason why this organization is needed now, because they can make efforts to market the district, but also they can be communicating with the city as a group. They'd have leaders, and they would come to the city, or could come to the city, meet with DPW, meet with other staff to make sure that logistically we coordinate our work to the best of our abilities to make sure that we are keeping as many businesses open and the traffic flowing when we can. Next year is going to be tough because we are doing that water main replacement work, but our office is committed. I know DPW is committed to keep as many of keep as much of the road open and keep businesses open and not suffering from this. So, like I said, more reason for this organization to exist.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be a naysayer.
I understand.
I'm just using common sense here.
It's a good question.
All right, I yield the floor.
I'll just say, I really hope this does take off. I'm not quite old enough to remember it, but I grew up hearing about how my grandfather was one of the founding members of the Water Street Businessmen's Association, which apparently back then was quite a big deal for the businesses along the Water Street corridor. And I think that sort of mutual aid among small businesses is how we build a thriving economic nexus downtown, especially when there are challenges like construction and whatnot. If, let's say we've got construction halfway down Main Street, one of the businesses further up Main Street could potentially, if the association printed them and agreed and whatnot, could carry like little cards or whatever saying, these businesses are open during construction, here's how you get there. These businesses are going to be limited hours during construction, here's what the hours are. So that way there's as little disruption as possible to the flow of business. You can't necessarily do that if each business is just looking out for their own individual interests, even if they're all doing it in the most well-meaning possible way. Do you have something else, Councillor?
Yes, something else. With Riverside Park, is the city going to take a really big role in trying to draw people downtown Fitchburg?
Councillor, that's got nothing to do with this particular grant.
Well, it has a lot to do with this, because you're talking about a chlorinator, and if the city doesn't put functions down there at Riverside Park to draw people downtown...
This is about facilitating cooperation between and among the businesses in the Main Street corridor. What the city does to promote business downtown is equally important, but entirely separate from this grant.
I don't understand that part, to be honest with you. I find that very hard to believe that it's entirely separate, because they're going to be going to her for help. Right? And what does she work for?
We can't discuss the entirety of Fitchburg's economic development plan simply because it all meshes together. We'd be here all night. Everything, it does all mesh together, Councillor. I'm not disagreeing with that, but that's a few steps too far removed from what's on the agenda for us to productively discuss it at this point.
Well, let me put it this way. I just had eggs for supper. If I didn't have a stove, I couldn't cook the eggs.
Councillor, we can talk about it afterwards. In the meantime, would you like to renew your motion?
I make a motion to approve, yes.
I'll second it. I'll note for the public, we do have a rule that we recently adopted that says that in a committee that has 3 or fewer members present, the chair can make and second motions.
When did that rule come into effect?
I want to say either this past January or the previous one.
Oh, okay.
At any rate, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to vote for this. I'm watching it very carefully.
All right, it is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. 16424, order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $17,000, same to be charged against the FY25 tax levy and credited to law expenses, damages, persons, and property. I'll note before we begin that though we are not going into executive session on this, this does involve a legal issue that the city is involved in, so there is very little that we can discuss at this time.
Well, why don't we just make a motion, we accept?
Go ahead, make the motion, I'll second it.
If you'd like to add anything before we go to that, but
As you just stated, I'm limited on the details. However, this stems from the police department as part of litigation that was litigated by our insurance company, and this is to conclude that litigation.
all right. Thank you very much. Any questions or concerns? Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just for the viewing public, this amount was determined by the insurance company of what we need to pay.
Exactly. It's a case that stemmed out of the police department. It was litigated by our insurance company. A settlement agreement was rendered through our insurance company, and this is the net end of that litigation that is required, that the city comes up with this amount of money.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion then?
I'll make that motion because you told me I couldn't ask questions, so I make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and second. I'll just note I didn't say no questions could be asked. I just said that we probably wouldn't be able to get very satisfying answers because of the situation. But right. I'll just further note that this is not particularly atypical for the situation. So I don't want anyone to think that there's weird things afoot. This is a pretty normal way for these sorts of situations to be resolved. Any objection to the motion?
Nope.
All right, passes unanimously. And finally, 165-24, order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the transfer of $10,000 from Community Development Expense Municipal Hearing Officer to Community Development Personal Services Municipal Hearing Officer.
Yes, thank you. So this request is related to a matter that was referred to Legislative Committee and has not been taken up yet. We are looking to make the municipal hearing officer an employee. That would be a stipended employee. Really, the hours would be evenings because the hearing officer hearings have to be after hours twice a month. So this request is just basically a administrative request to move the funds out of expenses and into personnel.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. Councillor?
My question is to you, this employee, is it going to be already a city employee?
It could be.
It could be a city employee.
Could be.
Huh. Would the council know who it is when you come in front of us with that special employee? Do we vote on that, Anthony?
I mean,
I think I'd have to take a look at the ordinance as we adopted it. I don't recall if we made it an appointed position or not. Certainly it's something where we would have every ability to know who it is. It's not going to be a secret person, but as far as whether we would have to approve it or not, I would have to double check on that.
So this employee, which presumed is not a city employee, but it's going to be somebody else. You're telling me that he's going to become a city employee working just part-time, no benefits?
correct, no benefits.
No benefits
I think
at
it
all.
would be an exempt, not non-union. Yeah.
I believe that's
Yeah.
correct. I'm not a labor
Yeah,
lawyer,
it would be
but
a
I'm
non-union
pretty certain
employee. Yes.
It's what, non-union?
that non-union exempt from basically all of the various expensive labor regulations because they'd be working so few hours.
Yeah, anything after 19 hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, so we wouldn't be dealing with pension and benefits and all that.
He's going to get $80 per case.
Yes.
How many cases do you think you'll do in a day?
Well, it wouldn't be a day. It would be twice a month would be the hearings. Although I suppose there could be administrative hearings where somebody would like to appeal and they want to do it by mail instead of coming in person. So it could be a desk review. The law does allow for that. But it really is, it's hard to say because first you have to think about all of the folks who get fined, right? They get a ticket. Now, how many of those folks are going to appeal? So it's hard to pin a number on it. I know that our Board of Health and our sanitary inspectors are very anxious to get moving on this, and they would like to do some enforcement and some fining when letters to correct don't solve that problem. How many folks are going to appeal it? It really is, it's hard to say. I mean, it would be a percentage of the folks that get tickets.
It's impossible to tell right now because this process is entirely new to Fitchburg. We can't look at historical data because prior to the adoption of the 40U provisions this past year, people didn't have to appeal their tickets. They could just ignore them, and we had to take them to court if
Right. Or they could appeal to
They
the
could
court.
appeal, but there was very little incentive for them to do so.
So we didn't do a lot of fining as a result,
Right.
because we didn't want to go through that court process. So we don't have a good track record of, how often we fine, how many of those appeal. I mean, I could dig out those numbers. It's going to be very small because we haven't done the kind of fining that we're looking to do now. Ultimately, what we want to do is get compliance, not fine people. But this is a tool to get folks to hopefully understand that when a ticket is issued or when we ask for compliance or require compliance, that they comply, and hopefully we don't have to fine.
But you should have some kind of idea, because you had a meeting with different communities that have a 40U, and I presume that's one of the questions, that how many people appeal.
So I would say the most recent information I have is from Revere, and Revere, they didn't give us how many people appealed. They gave us how much they received in collections for that month. Now, Revere has some issues with their trash. They had a big rat problem there, so they were very aggressive in trying to control that through getting compliance with containers, keeping everything in the container, keeping their lids down. So they were very aggressive. They were talking about, in that particular month, having collected $33,000 in fines.
How much, I'm sorry?
$33,000. Do not expect that we would be collecting that at the onset. But, do we have there's definitely, I don't want to say an opportunity, because really what we want is compliance, not the money. But we can be very aggressive. So to some degree, it's really about the staff capacity to get out there and to see the problems and cite those problems and fine for those problems. So I'm sorry, I'm not doing a great job of answering your question.
No, you're doing all right. I don't expect you to have all the answers. I just thought that's one of the questions I would ask if I went on that tour, which I wanted to go. I had some other questions, but you told me I couldn't go. It was just city workers going.
I would be happy to get that information together for the legislative committee meeting so that I could answer your question.
Well, I'm not on that body. You can get that information.
Let me know what your questions are. I'll try and get an answer for you. All set?
I'm all set. You all set?
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, I'm excited to see this municipal hearing officer finally kicked off. We've got some habitual dumpers out there, and there's considerable blight with overgrowth. And if somebody doesn't want a mattress or a TV, their first instinct is to chuck it, and it's just out there, and it drives me nuts. But regarding the municipal hearing officer, what about noise complaints and loitering? Can they be responsible for those citations as well?
Unfortunately, no. Well, I don't think so. The 40U is very specific that it's housing-related code violations, sanitary code violations, and snow and ice removal violations. So when somebody doesn't clear their sidewalk in front of their property. So it's very rigid. Now, there is another sort of a parallel ordinance called 148A, not ordinance, law, that allows the building and the fire department to also have a municipal hearing officer. So we could, over time, pull those in, you sort of expand what we can do, and we can certainly look at some of the broader issues, but I don't know that loitering is going to fall into any of the categories that we could use a hearing officer for.
I see.
It doesn't mean that there can't be enforcement, it's just that the appeals would have to go to court if there was an appeal to whatever that loitering ticket was.
I see. Thank you. No, I think you hit it right on the head as far as, we're not searching for new revenue with this. Even if we do see $35,000 in a month, it's, next to our budget, it's not something that we're going to make a big splash. It's just about compliance and making sure that our everyone is taking the same pride in our city as we do. So I'm looking forward to this. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brochman?
Question for you. I'm reading a stipend of $200 a month and the $80 per case.
Correct.
Where did we come up with that kind of money? I mean, who came up with that? You?
That was actually myself, the former building commissioner, and the Board of Health director. And we were trying to calculate how much work time we thought it would be to go through that whole process. So that's where we came up with the $80 per case, as we thought. And I'd have to go back to my notes, but I want to say it was somewhere around 2 hours of work to do all of the paperwork associated with a hearing.
Oh,
And then, the $200 per month stipend is just, to be in office, because it's a position that is going to be in a lot of flux. You might have 1 month where we have no hearings and then another month where it's packed. So that's why we decided a monthly stipend would be, as a baseline, would be good as well.
all right.
Councillor?
If I
you all
have any
set?
other questions, I'll go up to her office and talk to her.
Sounds good. Councillor Cruz?
It's my understanding this is still a self-funded position, right? Self-sufficient?
Well, we have $10,000 to start. We will need, it'll be a little tricky in this first year because we need to have the revenue come in, I believe, to the general fund before we could even create a revolving loan fund or anything like that to have it be self-sustaining. So I think this first year we might experience some growing pains depending on how aggressive we are. But then after that, we can set up that system to keep it self-funded.
Thank you. Motion approved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and second. I'll just note that, whether it's sort of technically self-funded from an accounting standpoint or not, the way I see it is there's practically no way it doesn't pay for itself in one way or another. Either it pays for itself in collections, in which case it's a net zero or possibly even net positive in the budget, which again is not the goal, but it may happen as a coincidence. Or we get very few collections because everyone starts complying, in which case the amount we're spending on this position is really small potatoes for the amount of improvement we'll see in the city from all that increased compliance. Believe me, I know we haven't looped the building department into this yet, but when I was on the zoning board, if you told me that there were some of those properties that could get brought into compliance for a fee to the city of $80, even if that was entirely out of pocket, I would have just opened up my wallet. So I think I'm very excited to see this move forward. Director Murphy can tell you I've been very, very interested in seeing this happen since it was first brought up. And we're now basically 2 steps away from getting it handled. So thank you. And do I have any objections on the motion? All right, passes unanimously. And that concludes our business for the
Make a
evening.
motion, we adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and second to adjourn. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned.
Thank you.